Chag Sameach, everybody. Thank you for joining me for this pre-Shavuot sermon. Shavuot approaches with the lockdown easing across the world, and for us too here in the UK. We have a glimpse of a brighter future, and we give thanks for this. For this Shavuot message, I would like to begin with a passage in Devarim chapter 5. In verse 4, Moshe is narrating the story of the giving of the Torah to the Jewish people. He says there that God spoke to the people face to face. Yet in the next verse, chapter 5, verse 5 in the book of Devarim, he says, I was standing between you and the Lord at that time. How can it be, if God was speaking to us face to face, that Moshe was between us? Surely that breaks the connection between us and God. And furthermore, if you look at the Hebrew, it doesn't say Anochi Amadati, I stood, but rather Anochi Omed, I am standing, in the present tense. There's a suggestion there of something that is going on right now. And yet, as we know, the story of the giving of the Torah happened thousands of years ago. So what can we discern from this passage that can help us understand our encounter with God at Shavuot, then and now? We can begin by looking at the Nesiva Shalom, and he says that the question here is actually one of attitude, and we're being asked by the Torah to approach the Torah itself with an open mind. I'll try to explain how this works. The Torah is not just a document from God. God put his very soul into the Torah, into the law that he gave us on Mount Sinai. So much so that the Gemara in Shabbos says that the word Anochi, the first word of the Ten Commandments, meaning I am, is an acronym of Ana Nafshi Ketivat Yavit. I gave my soul in writing. The Torah, as it were, contains God's soul. The closer we get to Torah, the closer we get to God himself. Of course, this means that we should learn Torah and obey its laws. Of course, it means that we should mull over it over a lifetime, probing it, challenging it, seeking to understand it, celebrating it. And when we do so, just like the Jews hearing the Torah at Mount Sinai, we are, as it were, face to face with God, just like Moshe said. But we can make a mistake with this. We can learn Torah through the filter of our own preconceptions. We can decide which bits we like, which bits we don't like, which bits we consider important, which bits we can't do right now, but might get around to someday. And if that happens, then sadly, our own sense of self intervenes. We are imposing our own value system on Torah instead of allowing God to speak directly to us. As Moshe said, chapter 5, verse 5 in the book of Devarim, Anochi Omed, the sense of self, that I, the ego within us all, can stand between God and us. We can allow our own self to intervene, and instead of hearing Torah with an open mind, we can use ourselves as a filter, in which case the face-to-face encounter that every Torah study, every Torah engagement should represent is somehow diminished and distorted. This Shavuot is not just the 3,322nd anniversary of the giving of the Torah. It is a return of that time, a time for us to receive the Torah anew this year, just like then. As we do so, we need to make sure we read it with an open mind, leaving our ego at the door of the Beis HaMedrash, at the store of the study area. When we truly meet Torah, we truly meet God. Chag Sameach, and thank you for listening.